Hi YouTube, in this video here I want to talk about something that I've been personally guilty of. And that's weaponizing my mental health or weaponizing my sobriety to actually lash out at others and not be understanding, and actually creating a stigma around some of the mental illnesses that I personally deal with instead of breaking down the walls because I've weaponized my mental health. If you haven't clicked the like and subscribe button, click the like and subscribe button. Love to have you along for the journey. It's people helping people, just making a difference in everyday life. What's up YouTube? This is Eric. Today I want to talk about weaponizing mental health. I did a survey on Twitter and I did a survey on YouTube on, if we feel that people weaponize mental health, here are the results. As you can see, they're very, very overwhelming. A lot of people do feel that we can weaponize mental health and we can weaponize what we're going through and really add to the stigma almost, instead of breaking down the stigma. And I've been guilty of that, and I wanted to share about it, of my personal experiences on weaponizing mental health. Let's face it, I'm diagnosed with ADHD, PTSD, depression, anxiety. I shared about MDD, which is something I've been diagnosed with at different times, which is essentially almost clinical depression. Well, it is clinical depression. Let's face it, we get into that part where we are almost overly protective about what we go through, and we lose that open-mindedness. I know when I weaponize my mental health, it's when I lose that open-mindedness, because let's face it, a lot of times when we have conversations with somebody, if we put our walls up, they put their walls up, and guess what? That's when the battle happens. That's when the miscommunication happens. That's when emotions get involved. That's when we start lashing back out at each other because we feel that we're being attacked. One of the things that I've done to not weaponize my mental health is to remember that everybody doesn't know my story. Everybody hasn't walked in my shoes, and I haven't walked through their shoes. That's the important thing. Let's face it, a lot of times, especially if somebody's never really struggled with clinical depression, and they bring up clinical depression, oh, you're clinically depressed, or you're not clinically depressed, you seem really fine and happy. I could take offense to that. And I could say, you have no idea, you don't understand, it's because I'm on medication, you don't know what I've been through. No. Instead, I can say, actually I am, and let me share with you a little bit. And next thing you know, the more that I'm open, the more that they open up with me, the more that none of the mental health is weaponized. None of it is used to lash out and target another person. It's amazing because, let's face it, so many people, when we struggle with depression or we struggle with PTSD and triggers, and we get triggered in different ways, most people don't try and trigger us on purpose. Most triggers don't happen on purpose. And my example is, one of my biggest triggers with my PTSD is the smell of blood. Why? Because I went through my dad's car that was covered in blood. That smell fucks with me. But you know what? If I walk into a room where somebody had cut their foot and there's an odor of blood and I'm triggered and all of a sudden paralyzed, it's not the person's fault. They didn't cut their foot on purpose. And I know that's a little bit of an extreme example, but I can use this example in other cases of people will say things or do things in our lives that they don't realize triggered us. What I found helps me not weaponize my mental health is to walk away. Walk away, ground myself, recuperate, slow it all down, realize that instead of lashing out, let me be open-minded and going back out to that person and communicating and talking with them with my walls down. Realizing that a majority of the people out there are not trolls, they are not mean people, they are not bad people, they are not attacking me. And that the way that I act and the way that I respond is what adds to a stigma. If I lose some subscribers over this is just my belief and my feelings on the subject. It's not meant to say, hey, I know what I'm doing and this is the right way to do it. No, not at all. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist, psychologist. I'm none of that. I'm a mental health advocate, but I do understand people. Because for the last 19 years of my life, that's what I've done. I'm in sales. I deal with people on a daily basis, and a lot of people. So understanding how people work and how we work is so important. Having open-mindedness is so important. Realizing that we're not being attacked right off the bat is so important. What really forms that attacking is when our walls go up and we lash back out. If we lash out of anger, out of hate, out of being mean, out of being defensive, that person doesn't realize what's coming at them, and they're going to lash back out because, let's face it, we all have our own viewpoint. It's one of those that if you watch a fight happen, it's amazing how it happened. It starts with this person having a very strong opinion, this person having a very strong opinion, and they're never meeting in the middle. And they're just going to fight on their opinion. They're not going to try and see it from the other person's perspective. Trying to see the other person's perspective and getting the other person's perspective is so important because we've never walked in their shoes. Nobody knows exactly how my PTSD triggers me or why it does and what happens to my brain and the flashbacks that I get and the freezing that I get. Nobody knows that with the ADHD that the biggest thing that I struggle with is the spontaneousness, that I don't think things through, and that it is a struggle for me daily. Thank goodness for Adderall. Again, it's a lifesaver for me, not for everybody. But they haven't been in my shoes, and I haven't been in their shoes. If I really want to break a stigma, it's understanding and being open-minded to what somebody else's opinions are, and then maybe educating them or having them even educate me. Because the most important thing is let's face it, all of us that have dealt with depression, we understand depression with each other. All of our depressions are a little bit different, but we all understand depression. Somebody who hasn't really struggled with MDD, for example, they don't get that form of depression. But if I attack and lash out because they're like, oh, you're not clinically depressed, you've never been clinically depressed, I don't even know why you would medicate for the depression, just be happy, be thankful for what you have. Look at all the technology we have. That should just cheer you up alone right there. You have no reason to be depressed. Instead of me getting really defensive about it and then weaponizing my mental health, you don't understand what I'm going through, you're just adding to the stigma, you think all depressed people are happy on the outside, whatever it might be, is how I lash back out, is what creates that stigma, what creates that, hey, depressed people don't like to talk about it. Why is there a stigma that depressed people don't like to talk about it? Because a lot of us don't share the way that we should about it. A lot of us aren't very open about it. We take on that battle by ourselves. That's what really creates a stigma. The more that you share, the more that you're open about it, the more that it really breaks, I feel, the stigma down. For example, if I'm at a area where somebody goes, oh, look at that kid, he's all energetic, he has ADHD, this parent should medicate him. Instead of me getting really upset and going, ma'am, you have no idea what you're talking about. I'm ADHD. That's bullshit what you said. You're just adding to the stigma. The way that I'm lashing out at that person is adding to the stigma. If I go up to him and go, hey, why did you say that? I'm ADHD. That's kind of hurtful. And being open-minded and talking to them and understanding, finding out maybe that they don't know anybody who's ADHD or they've never struggled with ADHD before in their life. Amazing. All of a sudden, there is no stigma. I can have that person leaving the conversation going, wow, ADHD people are actually pretty cool and they're pretty calm. It's not what I thought. I didn't realize that it's like fireworks going off in their head. And when I'm talking to somebody, that they literally can get bored of the conversation mentally, and it's not their fault that they're doing it. It's how their brain works. That's what erases the stigma. When we lash out and we weaponize our mental health and we go, you don't understand. What you did is adding to the stigma. As soon as we bring up that word and go, you added to the stigma, we're actually, I think, the ones adding to the stigma. We're the ones that are bringing in a bad name because we're the ones that are aggressive. If you're aggressive with your mental health, you're weaponizing it. If you're calm, you're not weaponizing that. You're trying to be open-minded. And don't get me wrong, this doesn't work with everybody. There are trolls, there are bad people out there, but the majority of people, I really like to believe, aren't bad people and they don't mean anybody any kind of harm. Open-mindedness is everything. If you get into a situation where you feel that you're going to lash out, my biggest suggestion is walk away. Walk away, ground yourself, listen to some music. Write down what's frustrating you, how you wish that somebody would have said something differently that didn't hurt you. Play with a fidget spinner, I do that. Take a walk, that even helps. There's different things that you can do. Once you've calmed down from the situation, instead of bringing that emotional fuel into it, and you bring in that calm, openness, you can really break down those stigmas and you can tell somebody, hey, what you said hurt me and here's why. And then we can find out their side of it. And then once you find out their side of it, it's amazing. I've gotten into fights with people before that have turned out to be the best friends. Because instead of putting my walls up right away and saying, you're attacking me, I'm coming right back at you now, and this is why you're attacking me, and this is why you're a mean person, I'm dropping the walls. I'll make myself vulnerable and I'll share with them, hey, this is what's going on. I don't understand why you would say that. People don't know how to react. Let's face it, in today's society, we are in a spontaneous lashback out society that people are against us. They're not necessarily. When you've walked in other people's shoes is when you really get to understand what they've been through. And the only way we're ever going to understand what somebody's been through is if we're open about what we've been through. If we communicate what we've been through and why maybe something hurt us. Instead of just going, you hurt me and this is how you hurt me and you don't understand. You're right, nobody fucking understands because everybody's journey and story is different. So quit acknowledging that. We all fucking know that. Your story is your story, my story is my story, but when we share our story and we're open with our story, it's different. Because then it helps others understand. It helps others realize what we're going through and then maybe finding out what they're going through. Maybe understanding that the way that they've responded and reacted to something was because of a childhood experience or because of a friendship experience or a relationship experience or their experience meeting somebody with that and not knowing how to communicate it. Don't take everything so personal. You know, we try to take ownership of everything because it's like, oh, I struggle with this, so I'm going to own everything around me that has to deal with it. No, don't own it all. Own your own shit and share your shit. Share your experiences. Share what you've been through. That is how I really feel we don't weaponize our mental health. We weaponize our mental health when we tell somebody, you don't understand. Let me tell you how you just hurt me. No, it's not a me thing, it's a we thing, it's a us thing, it's a together thing. Being open-minded together with everyone. Sharing our experiences, letting them share their experiences, and finding the common ground in between. Finding the communication in between. And I tell you what, if you want to erase the stigma, the worst way to try and do it is through fucking text messaging. Through a fucking text message, there is only one form of communication. You don't have any body language communication. You don't have any voice tone communication. You have none of that. You just have words. And words alone can be hurtful taken into the wrong context. Depending on where our mindset is, if I texted somebody, hey, you're an asshole, that could be taken different ways. To a friend, it could be taken, dude, shut up, whatever. It's a pun back and forth all of a sudden, and we're making fun, and it was meant in a joke. But if I text the wrong person, you're an asshole, and I mean it in a fun, sarcastic way of just playing with them, they could take it as in, well, you know what, go fuck yourself. And next thing you know, our emotions and our tempo just went from down here to up here. All walls are up. The battle begins. We're going to start throwing blows. When we calm and take away from the situation what we can emotionally, release that, come back to it without that emotion, without that aggression, amazing what happens when the communication truly opens up. Communication is something we're not taught in school. We're not taught how to communicate with other human beings. I've learned this through trial and error. It's costing me a lot of money. It's costing me jobs. I mean, communication is everything. But how do you do it? You go into a conversation without it being emotionally charged. You go into it with a desire to know the other person's point of view instead of forcing your point of view on them. Another great example is religion. I don't like to talk about religion because I believe there's as many religions as there are people. What I mean by that is we can both have the same religion, and you know what? Our take on it, though, is differently, and we could literally get in a fight. That's why I don't talk about it, because I understand it. I want to go in it with a clear head. So when I'm conversing with people, I got to realize I got to go in their shoes before I even talk to them about my shoes. Because if I start in with just me, and what I go through, and you don't understand, all I'm doing is creating the conflict. All I'm creating is those walls going up. All I'm creating is that weaponizing going on and going to throw out words of hate, words of anger. And that's not what I want. That's not good communication. Good communication comes from, let me go through your shoes. Let me find out about you before I share about me. And let's find those common grounds. And let's find out where the conflict started and how maybe the misinterpretation of what you said might have hurt me. And you know what? By the time we're done with it, guess what? We're probably going to be friends. Again, not everyone's going to like you. That's okay. Don't take offense to not everybody liking you. But at least give somebody the ability to explain themselves in a way that is fair, non-emotional, non-aggressive, non-defensive. Amazing the people that you'll meet in your life, amazing the people that you'll bring into your life because you're not attacking. When we attack is when we bring on the stigma. When we do the you don't understand, we bring on the stigma. When we say you hurt me and you don't know why, this is why, we're bringing on the stigma. When we say this did hurt me, but why did you say that? I'm not attacking all of a sudden. And usually most people, it'll throw them off because they're not used to somebody putting down their walls and asking them, why are you coming from the way that you're coming from? Oh my God, beautiful things happen then. Amazing the communication that happens. Again, it's amazing when I see polls like what I had put up on Twitter and what I put up on YouTube of how many people feel that others weaponize mental health. We weaponize mental health by taking so much ownership of it and pushing our ownership onto others. Don't push your ownership of what you have onto others. Find out what others' information is, what other stories are, and bring it on with your story and share and help and support. It's a together thing. It's a we thing. If you want to give support, you got to give it away to get it back. If you're just out there screaming for support, you know what? You're not going to get it. You're not going to get the support that you want. It's going to be very temporary. Then you feel invisible. Then you feel like a burden. When you want somebody else to share, then they genuinely want to care about you too. When you genuinely care about them, they want to care about you because they want to know your story now also. They want to know why you're open-minded to them. It's amazing what happens when we communicate the right way without emotion, without anger, without intent, and we just communicate for the sake of understanding somebody else's point of view. You know, I love doing these videos. I love sharing these videos, especially when it comes down to human nature and how we work together because, let's face it, I'm in sales. I know how human beings work together. I've been there. I've done that. I've done a lot of it. Again, it's people helping people, just making a difference in life. Be open-minded. Listen to the person's side of their story. Let them share before you get aggressive. Try and understand. If the situation gets too much, walk away. There's no harm in walking away and then revisiting the conversation at a later time. Don't forget that. Don't forget that you don't have to just stand up and you don't have to martyr for a cause, because there is no cause. It's all of us as human beings making it through everyday life. I hope you got something out of this. Click the like and subscribe button. Love to hear your comments down below. Again, it's about people helping people, just making a difference in life. And remember this, that you're an amazing human being and that you've made it this far. So keep fighting forward every single day. You can do this. We can do this. We can do it together. Again, click the like and subscribe button. Comment down below. Love to have you along for the journey.